Hi, welcome everybody. We are MASALAKRAUT and we have a special guest here today, Nathalia, Syam. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I cannot complain at all. Thank you for asking. And Nathalia is a director and maybe she will write in the future, but we will talk about this in a little bit here. But her feature debut just came out. It is Footprints on Water. And how about you tell us a little something what the movie is about?
So Footprints on Water is a story about an undocumented migrant father searching for his missing daughter. So it's very kind of, set in the backdrop of reality. So it has a lot of, family drama within, and it also shows, when somebody's invisible, how they go about, finding things which come so easily to others.
Yeah, and this is an interesting movie. We have seen this movie here at the German premiere, which was really interesting. And you hit a very universal topic because all the countries, especially Europe, had a big refugee wave and immigrant wave. And all of that is really interesting because this is a topic that has not been focused on the media or in films as well. So where was the biggest challenge you had to overcome making this movie?
So I think it's first, like a brilliant question. I think one of the biggest things to kind of keep in mind. So we feel that although recently there's been a lot of, news and light about the refugee trying to come over to the different countries and everything is there. So through our film, we do have a wonderful character named Rahan, played by Antonio Akil, who is someone who's a refugee and who came over, and we explore his backstories a little in the film. So he's one group of people that we've represented through our film. And then we look at people who come from different countries because they want the grass to be greener and they're looking for better financial opportunities, or some people looking for a change, or some people coming to study, or some people are coming because it's just not safe in their countries anymore. So in this film we've kind of tapped into various different reasons to why people move, and I think this is, although it's very relevant now and there's a lot of topics about immigration going on, but I think it's probably like the oldest trick in the game that people are constantly moving. People are, wherever there's something better, you naturally try to move for there. But then recently, because it's just so unorganized and chaotic, it's important to keep in mind that there are implications if you don't pay proper attention. So hopefully a film can highlight that through a story that people can find entertaining and root for some characters too.
Indeed, and you're no stranger to immigration. Your background story, how much of it was influenced, or how much can we see of that in the movie?
So especially the part of Adil Hussein's Raghu's character, Nimisha, Adil and Lena's family, that a lot of the inspirations came from our story and a lot of our close family friends that were around us. But of course, when it came to the certain other elements, especially some of the trafficking parts that we discussed, that all came with the help of a lot of research. So our writer, Anita Syam, who's also my sister, she had spent almost 3-4 years just researching this project, and a project like this does take some time. You can't rush the process and you can't rush it. So we had the help of some great charity groups who gave us some information. We interviewed a lot of people, and just Nita worked on drafts after drafts after drafts. So I think a lot of it that you see is nothing is sort of put there because it looked cool. It's just as close to reality. And one thing I was very careful of is making sure that I don't exaggerate anything, because I wanted people to really get a close feeling, and I think that's really hit a chord with a lot of audiences because they can relate better.
Yeah. Speaking of your sister, I was fighting with my brother a lot when I was younger, and now we get along very well. But how's it possible with your sister, and especially making a movie, which is very stressful for everybody?
So it's we fight all the time too, that is there. But I think in a professional sense, I think initially, because this is our first film together, initially I think we had to really identify, this we would work better together if we did this. And, we kind of explore different things. But bottom line is, I find that she's a very talented writer, and she's someone who really works day in and out, trying to, research her concept and just tirelessly rework on drafts. And when we do sit together and we discuss these topics, something really magical happens. And I feel to protect that, it's okay to, it could happen with maybe your best friend, or maybe you're, riding with a partner, or, it can happen in any scenario as well. So I think one of the things that's really worked well for us is really like if there is any, any sort of anything that's disturbing either one of us, because, like especially when we're waiting for things to happen, and during shoot especially, it can get so stressful. So we had to really kind of draw it out. Okay, this is something that's annoying me, and then we'd be like, okay, let's work on that. But then when it came to the film and the story, I think we always prioritize that the story really needs telling. So then we, and also we also have, while, I just have a lot of love for her, a lot of respect for her. So because, I've got a very warm feelings towards her. And also she's my elder sister. We've got about a almost 6-7 year gap. And so I think she's also quite matured when it comes to that. And like when I was in film school, she was, she's self-taught writer. So, when I was in film school, she was trying to find out, okay, what do I want to write about? This is what we know most about. So that, because it was such a gradual, slow process, I think we dealt with everything on the way.
That's amazing. And you've, with this project, you mentioned already Adil Hussain. He is a very renowned actor. And how did your connection happen? How did you land him for this movie?
Okay, so one of my friends in London mentioned to me that Adil is in town. So our producer, Mohan Nadar, at the production headquarters, he was also in UK. So I messaged Mohan, and Mohan said, oh, go meet Adil. So he quite quickly arranged a meeting between Adil, Neether and I, and we went. And this was a time, when COVID just started. It just opened up, basically. As in the whole idea of COVID just started. And people were confused, okay, what's going on? Like, should we meet him or not? But Adil was very kind in allowing us to meet him. Like, we sat out in open air in the garden and we narrated the story. He really liked it, and then he read the script quite soon. And in 3 months, we started filming. And I'm so grateful that, Adil was shooting for Bell Bottom, I believe, Akshay Kumar and, like Vani Kapoor and everyone. So it was just coincidental that he happened to be filming there, that we could just go, because I think if he was in India, maybe it might have taken longer. And I think it's always better to just talk to people face to face and narrate a story. I'm a fan of that. Indeed,
that's why we're here as well. So was he the first choice for the role, or did you have or who was in the running on the short list?
Because while we were developing our script, we had plans of maybe doing it in a regional way. So we had a couple of South Indian Malayali actors for that. And then, but when it came to the point that, because one of the things I didn't want to lose was if you make it a little bit more regional so people can understand better, naturally more characters are going to have to be speaking in a regional language, and we felt that would do such disgrace to the story, because you need to show people from Afghanistan if you're trying to show that story. So then we came to the conclusion that it has to be a British film in English language. Of course, some Malayalam, some Hindi and all can happen, but like how we're talking to each other now, there is a lot of English naturally because of migration. That's what happens. So as soon as
lingua franca, that's what you mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So we made a call that this is going to be, this is how we're going to make the film. And as soon as that came into the picture, Adil Hussain was our first choice. And it just all happened so organically, and there wasn't anyone that we pitched to as an English film. We had talked to a couple of actors before as a Malayalam film, but so this is the whole process behind the actor.
I see. Thank you so much. And my next question would be on set. I mean, you've been filming during COVID, and the movie is a more of a sad, depressing setting. I mean, it is not for the lighthearted, to say the least. But how did you kept the positive outlook and mood at the set? And are there any funny stories you can tell?
So I think it's important. I think quite, especially during the pre-production stages and when we would read the script, I think during that time I used to get quite affected thinking of, okay, this is a lot going on. And as this being my debut film as well, although I could exactly see what I saw in my head, what you see in screen today, I was a bit, a little nervous, like because I'm starting, and I was a little bit nervous on how it's all going to pan out, and I would also get emotional thinking of certain scenes. So then I think I really had to quite quickly draw a line and sort of tell myself that, just in case, you work on a war movie in the future, it shouldn't mean that you can't get out of bed because you're upset. So I kind of found a link where I can detach from the story once I go back to room, and just really focus on the technical side of things. I thought of, okay, did we get all the shots? Are we planned well enough for tomorrow? So apart from the time where I'm directing the scene and we're having a collaborative time together, I don't think of the scene after that. And I think otherwise, I would have been a little bit more stressed.
Speaking of summer shots, is there anything that landed on the cutting room floor that you really would love to have in, but you had to cut?
Our first cut of the film was almost 2.5 hours, 2 hours 45 minutes.
It's Indian standard.
Yeah, which in Indian standards is absolutely fine. But now our film is an hour 48 minutes, I think. So it's a lot shorter. Of course, there's a lot of scenes that I would have loved to have in, but I think I was quite selfish in only focusing on the story. And I think when audiences come from so far, and they're especially now, this is our 4th country that we're premiering in, and we've got a couple more coming in the close vicinity. I think it's important when people have put in so much of their effort to come see something, you need to really stay true to the story, not because you like a shot. And I'll be honest, there are shots that looked cooler, but I've included shots that didn't look as cool. For the story, you need to be true to your audience, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it is. The story comes first, especially for me as well. I mean, I love some cool shots, but if they're not saying anything, why do they need to be in there? Coming a little bit away from the movie, I was wondering about your career path. I mean, you've studied filmmaking as well, and you already mentioned your sister didn't. But where does your passion for filmmaking come from?
So, as I said earlier, like my mom's side of in yesterday's Q&A I mentioned, so my mom's side of the family is into the film industry in Kerala. So I kind of grew up seeing film sets. So I've always been intrigued by that. But when we moved to UK, it's almost as if, like in a very traditional Indian family. Like my sister she's a qualified chartered accountant, and she's quit it to, do her writing and a cake business on the side. But with me, I also went into accounts for the first, right after school, because parents think that's cool and then it's secure and it earns you money, which it does. I'm not saying film doesn't, it can too, but you just gotta wait a little. Yeah. But so that's how we went about it, and I quit it after a year, and because I started like helping out in different short films, and I just absolutely loved it. So then I didn't have to do too much convincing to my parents, because I just said, I've applied for this course, I've got in, so I'm gonna go. Because in UK it's like you can get student loans and everything, so it's not something that's like a big life-changing decision. So that's how pretty much it came. And then I just used to, and before I went to unis, I worked in the industry for a year as a runner to just make sure that, is this something that's going to be right for me? Because I think my parents had
like
this question.
Internship, basically.
Yeah, like not an internship as such. It's like different sets I would do. It wasn't for like a company as such.
Yeah, I meant more like for example, if like the high school students go for an internship and find out if that's what they want to do.
So I went and did that, and I felt like and I remember at that time I was doing a lot of voluntary work because I just wanted experience, and I was quite young then as well. And then I remember one of the days sitting down and thinking, like, I'm doing this for free. I'm just sitting and leaving like 5 a.m. in the morning and coming back really late. And if I'm still doing this and I'm really enjoying it, then this must be it. So that's what sort of helped me confidently go into film school. And it has been talking about my career path, it has been a very slow progress. It's not that I decided to be a film director and then it just happened. I did around 2-3 years of being a runner, and then after that I became a third AD, then I progressed to first AD, then I did quite a few Indian films and British films as that. And then in between, if there's no work, I'd go back on set as a set driver, set cleaner, whatever, because, you need to pay the bills and you need to keep the monies coming. So because of that, it is a slow process. I'm very grateful the film's made, and now, now there are, people who talk with interest about future projects, and, it feels exciting to work on things. But if I ever need to go back for a few months or few weeks of just running or whatever, I don't mind, because I think that is life, and you just learn more, isn't it, while you're on set.
Yeah, indeed. Speaking of future projects, connecting a little bit with Footprints on Water, do you have a goal for that movie? What do you want to reach with that movie in terms of, I mean, social, political, financial, or whatever? And is there any goal for that?
I mean, I think right now, I hope it has a good, festival run, maybe a few more festivals, because I've been really enjoying comparing audience reactions from different countries, and I just really love that there's a parallel that most audiences are able to connect despite wherever they are in the world. So that kind of reinforces the idea that the concept is quite universal. And after that, our producer, Mohan, is looking to sell the film and, maybe get it distributed for theatricals or, whatever is best for the film then. And in terms of goals for the film, I feel like, I take things one step at a time. And because especially we shot during COVID, I think this is something I learned during COVID. Because every day I would go to set in fear that tomorrow UK may be shut down and we can't shoot anymore. So we shot in December 2020. And while I was so excited, because I kept thinking, I've been waiting 4 or 5 years for this film to happen. And when it happens, I have to make a lot of compromises. And I kind of told myself that, okay, let's look at it one day at a time. So then I kind of ticked it off, okay, filming done. Okay, now let's look at, a first cut of it. And then, let's look into the edit of it. And because I've done it in that pace, I'm not thinking too much about what's happening after. But it would be good if, it reaches out to as many people, even if we can let people know of, for people who are looking to move to another country, leaving everything behind, for them to be a little bit better prepared. I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. If they want to do it, but be a little bit more prepared. And secondly, for people who knows these kind of people, to really be a little bit more empathetic, and hopefully the authorities can do something in, not allowing people to exploit humans this way, because it's been such a, we're in the 21st century, and to think that this is pretty much modern day human trafficking in plain English words, and for it to happen maybe 10 yards away from us, and people are okay with it. I think people should be a little bit more sensitive and work together in I'm not saying we can't say goodbye to it forever, but at least have a little bit of that empathy that this happens.
Yeah, the underbelly is hard to see in a lot of parts of this world, and these were some really nice words. But I have one last question. What are the future projects? Is there anything you have already in motion? Is there anything in motion?
So, I mean, Neeth is always writing different things and working on things, and we're collaborating. We're hoping to collaborate again in a couple of films that she's written, and I'm also trying to just learn. So I do this one thing that I try and sit with as many screenings as possible, so I can get people's reaction and sort of learn from that. So now I'm going through this process of really trying to reflect and understand, and but I'm not, at the same time, I'm not someone to regret not doing something, because I think whatever has happened, it's for the best, and it's not just one person's work, it's around 400-500 people's worth of work. So I can't be selfish and think I wanted it this way. I think whatever's happened is the best. So I'm going through a little bit of trying to get better at my craft, and I'm sure it's a lifelong process, and you never learn everything. So I'm looking forward to that. And Neeth has written a couple of scripts she's got. One is again a British Indian film, which is a romantic kind of a travel film. Beautiful script, which we're kind of getting into the final stages of scripting. And there is another film which is a Malayalam script, because it's our regional language. Again, wonderful, beautiful film. So we are in talks with, the productions on that. We're not sort of able to announce it just yet, but it's the work has started, and it's exciting. And I think maybe for the next few months I'll just focus on Footprints, and I really want to be there at the festival and answer questions in hand. And we've got lovely Q&A hosts like yourself and you. So you really allow the audiences to get an extended experience of the movie, hearing from the makers and the actors themselves. So that's the near vicinity what I can see.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight, and all the best for your future endeavors and the next movie. I hope we can screen it here with MASALAKRAUT in Berlin when the next movie comes out. We're excited.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Amazing questions. And shall I try say MASALAKRAUT again?
Sure. Go ahead. Do it.
Okay.
Here, take the mic.
MASALAKRAUT. Thank you. You've been wonderful.
Thank you.